There's a computer program called Pegasus that's been used to spy on public leaders, including some of the leaders of the Catalan independence movement. This raises a number of important questions about the use of extraordinary powers by government. Two questions that I'd like to discuss here. First of all, there is a trade-off between safety and freedom. Many people think that you can guarantee your safety completely and still retain your liberties. In fact, that's not true. If you want to have complete safety, you have to give up your freedom. Because in order to guarantee safety, governments have to take whatever measures they need in order to protect you, including to secretly spy on any citizen they wish, to restrict your movements without a judicial authorization, and so on. We live in a society in which citizens are extremely concerned to minimize their exposure to risk, whether health risk or the risk of terrorism or the risk of economic collapse. If you live in a democratic and free society, you must have a certain level of tolerance towards risk. So if we take an example like terrorism, there will always be some risk of a terrorist attack in any country. And if we wanted to completely eliminate the risk of terrorism, then we might empower an organ of the state to spy on all citizens without any prior judicial authorization, without any parliamentary oversight, because that would be arguably the most effective way to anticipate any possible risk of an attack. But in doing so, we would be effectively removing important controls from powerful people over citizens' lives. And in that way, we would be damaging the values of liberal democracy, in particular freedom and rule of law. When a national security agency requests to expand its power in order to protect us against some threat, you can be sure that it's actually in their interests to emphasize the threat and to even exaggerate the level of threat that we are confronted with. People, when they have power, they tend to want to expand their power, to make it greater. So when someone who already holds power explains to us why they need to expand their power, we should have a healthy dose of suspicion or skepticism about the reasons that they are giving us. When we're dealing with a threat, for example, a threat to national security, it's very difficult to quantify these sorts of threats. It's very difficult to prove these sorts of threats. So they're very vulnerable to manipulation. And when somebody wants to expand their power in an agency, it's very easy for them to exploit that ambiguity and to talk about certain kinds of threats and to speculate about certain threats without hard evidence, to say they have intelligence without necessarily having hard evidence. So we should be very wary about this possibility. And what that means in practice is that governments should be very conservative about granting expansions of power to intelligence agencies.